Hi friends, I'm Coley, this is Sweet Peaches Nutrition, and today we're going to be making some awesome vegan lentil meatballs, or meatless balls, or lentil balls, veggie balls. There's no good way to call something a vegan version when there's meat in the title. But whatever. They are delicious nonetheless and made with two simple ingredients, lentils and mushrooms. The lentils provide a nice malleable base and a good protein source, and our mushrooms add a nice umami flavor that's often associated with meat. And along with some Italian seasoning and some other flavor bits blended up, they make a awesome meatball to put on top of your pasta with marinara. Or if you are not a huge fan of tomato-based sauce, I'll also link my meatball marsala recipe in the description box below. You can check that out. I love how easy this recipe is, and I hope you enjoy it too. So let's head to the kitchen. So to make our lentil meatballs, you're going to need mushrooms, diced onion, minced garlic, lentils, Italian spices, and flour. So to begin, we're going to add a neutral oil to our pan, like avocado oil or olive oil. And then we're going to add about half of an onion chopped. I'm using a sweet onion. You can use a yellow onion, a shallot, red onion, really whatever you have on hand will do the job. And then we're going to cook that over medium heat until our onions become translucent. We want to sweat them out before we add in our other ingredients like garlic, which will cook quicker. And now that our onions have cooked down a little bit, we're going to add in our mushrooms. So mushrooms have a lot of water, and so we're going to want to cook those down until they are dark brown and have released their liquid. As you can see, they're starting to cook down a little bit here. And our last ingredient that we're going to add in is the garlic because it'll cook the quickest, and trust me, you don't want burnt garlic in your dish. So now that everything is about like 90% done, we're going to add in our garlic. So you can see that I didn't like mince this super fine because it's all going to end up in the food processor anyway, so you don't have to be super precise with your knife cuts. Mostly you just want everything about the same size so it'll cook evenly. And we're going to saute until the garlic is fragrant and then add in our Italian spices, including oregano, rosemary, thyme. The full recipe, it'll be linked in the description box below. And then we're just going to mix those around and get them incorporated with the oil so that they will bloom and begin to get nice and tasty and kind of reactivate them from their dried state. While we were sauteing up our vegetables, I also had the lentils cooking, so we want to cook them until they are soft and most of the water has been absorbed, but if they are soft, you can just drain off any excess liquid once they're done cooking. And once your lentils and vegetables are done cooking, just going to put everything into a food processor to combine it up into a even paste. Okay, and then the last ingredient to add is 2 tablespoons of flour. This is just to give it a little bit of binding so that the meatballs will hold together. And then you're just going to pulse until the ingredients are well combined, and you want it to be still a little bit chunky. You don't want it to get too gummy, but you do want everything chopped up. And once everything is all incorporated, then you're just going to scrape off all the extra from the blade and then grab a baking sheet. It doesn't have to be lined. I'm using a silicone mat because for me that makes cleanup easier, but you don't need anything fancy. You can just put them straight onto a baking sheet. You want to get your hands slightly wet. That'll help the mixture from sticking to your fingers, and then just roll them into about 1-inch size balls. The recipe should make about 12, but obviously you can make your meatballs bigger or smaller depending on your preference. And then you're going to bake at 350 for about 20 minutes, and then they are ready to enjoy. Now let's talk about how we can make a delicious sauce for these meatballs. Alright, so now we're just going to make a super basic marinara or tomato-based sauce, and we're going to start with the other half of that onion that we used for the meatballs. Again, you can sub in a shallot if you'd like, or whatever you've got on hand. So we're just going to, again, sweat these over medium heat until they're begin to become translucent, and then add in our garlic, because garlic will cook quicker. And we're just going to begin to build the sauce with the aromatics. So onion and garlic are aromatics. You might also be familiar with mirepoix, which is onion, celery, and carrot, which is the base of a lot of soups and such. And so now you can see that my garlic was starting to get a little bit brown, so it's definitely time to move on to the next step, which is, again, we're going to add in those same Italian spices. You can use a spice blend or whatever individual spices you have on hand, and by adding them into the pan with the oil, you will begin to kind of rehydrate and bloom those spices, and you'll get a little bit more flavor out of them. You could also use fresh herbs, but often dried herbs are more widely available. And then finally, to make the base of our sauce, we're going to add in some whole peeled tomatoes. So these are great because they will give you a nice chunky sauce. I'm just kind of breaking up the tomatoes with my spatula here into pieces. I really like a nice hearty chunky sauce, but if that's not your jam, at the very end you can also throw it into a food processor or a blender to get a more uniform sauce. And now we're going to add some acidity with 1/4 cup of red wine. So this adds a really nice depth of flavor, and even though tomatoes are acidic, they're also fairly sweet. So this adds a nice flavor that will round out your sauce. Now, if you don't have wine on hand or you don't consume alcohol, you can sub in 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar and get that same kind of feel. Don't forget to taste as you go. This is your sauce and you're making it to your taste preferences. So as it's simmering, add salt and pepper and taste it and adjust it. So we've added flavor with our aromatics. We've added some acid in the form of red wine. We're adding salt and pepper. And then finally, if you'd like, you can add some heat with red chili flakes. And that's the final product. It is so good. And there are 2 simple recipes that you can add to your repertoire. I love buying meat substitutes, but sometimes it's nice to be able to make your own that's plant-based and a little cheaper. And no shade in buying your tomato sauce, but if you take the couple extra minutes to make your own, you really do get the good payoff in flavor. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Feel free to like and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!